get your attention? That's great, because look, I've got a question for you, and regardless if you're a long-time viewer or if you're new, I'm eager to know which one you would prefer. But to bring you into the loop first, I'm starting to completely reanimate all the swords in my game Sword Wars Reforged. However, I'm making some small changes and additions as well. I come across something interesting, and that thing being weapon cooldowns. What's interesting about weapon cooldowns, you're probably wondering? Well, in the process of reanimating weapons, I'm also changing some of the code in order to make hitboxes more accurate. In this rescripted version, I noticed that the line to handle attack cooldowns had been kind of switched around, and I immediately noticed a difference when testing. However, I kind of suspected that making a change like this to something so integral to the weapon system might have a big effect on how fights play out. So that's why I wanted to ask you which you would prefer. Should your sword's attack cooldown start immediately after you swing to attack, or should the cooldown start after your attack animation ends? I ask this because there are two very noticeable differences when either preference is applied. If your attack cooldown starts immediately after your swing, you notice that if you keep swinging, those attacks look like they're consecutive. This would be very noticeable on light weapons, which this one is. If option A is your preference, you could probably select every weapon in general to be able to start attacking again much sooner, which would probably end fights quicker, or potentially make some swords more predictable, which could set up an opportunity for something like a perfect block. On the opposite end, with option B, if your cooldown starts after your attack is finished, you notice that the attacks obviously do not appear as consecutive, i.e. they appear to attack slower. However, this means that your ability to attack sooner might be entirely dependent on how long the attack duration of your animation is. In a bit of detail, if you have a shorter animation, you'll be able to attack sooner compared to a weapon that has a longer one. This would likely see longer fights, and fights that potentially give players a bit more room to breathe and think about what they're going to do next. However, this additionally might make it easier for swords in the light weapon category specifically to stand a better chance against heavier weapons. There are potentially some more pros and cons to either preference that I didn't state, but this is exactly why I want to know your preference, so I'd appreciate your input in the comment section. Hell, maybe even debate and discuss some reasons as to why your preference might be a better choice, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you all think, so let me know.